If you're considering the Burton Genesis step-on binding, then let me save you some time and cash with a quick word of advice: don't. Don't get me wrong, the step-on and step-on X are pretty good when it comes to fast entry tech systems, but unfortunately the same cannot be said for the Genesis. Burton, please don't sue me, this is just my personal opinion, but don't take my word for it. I'm going to show you a couple of the issues that I had with the Genesis, and then you can tell me whether I'm right, wrong, crazy, or way off the mark. So, let's do it. As you click this video, I'm going to guess that you already know what Burton step-on tech is, but it's basically just a quick entry system that Burton have pushed over the last few seasons. It's not necessarily something new, but they have done it better than they've done it in the past. I have to say that when I rode the step-on X system last season, which is the stiffer variant of their step-ons, I was pretty impressed for the most part, although it wasn't something I would choose to ride as my daily driver. In Burton's EST and Reflex lineup, I've always been a fan of the Genesis, which features their hammock high back, which basically wraps around your boot for a nice, responsive but comfortable ride. So when I saw that they released it in the step-on variant, I couldn't wait to try it, and I tried it with my Burton Ion step-on boots, which I got earlier in the season. So I hit the mountain with a lot of optimism. I thought I was gonna like these, but let me tell you the things that went wrong. Diving straight in with my main issue with the Genesis step-on, and ironically, it's the reason I bought it, it's the hammock high back. Now, in the Reflex and EST version, this hammock system wraps around your boot, offers a bit of extra lateral response, and also makes for a nice cushioned ride. So that's the theory that we were gonna see in the step-on. I'll show you what it looks like. So you've got this big gap between the two sections of the high back, and then there's a spring in between. Now, the reason that this is a flaw in the step-on version is that the way that the boots step into the binding is that this large section on the back has to clip into the channel inside the high back. So it needs to come in at the top and slide down. When you come to step in, particularly if there's snow packed around the binding, you're in a rush, or even if you're on the move, you're inevitably going to be knocking this bit on this sticking out protruding bit of the hammock high back. Now, you might be thinking I'm being a little bit whingy or pedantic. You could just kick around that to slot in, but this doesn't work, because if you go too low, all you're doing is hitting this protruding bit into the bottom, and you're not getting it inside here where it needs to slide in. Like so. What this means is that in the first week of riding the Genesis step-on, I managed to detach this section from the back, and I don't know if you can tell, it has been expertly super glued back on, but for a binding that was less than a week old, $350+, this was a bit of a letdown, and actually it put me off riding them in general because I didn't want them to break at the top of the mountain, which is what happened the first time around. What makes this issue even worse is that whilst it does have this handy clip for putting your pants into, once you've got your pants on, inevitably they're going to bunch around this lever, and that makes it harder and harder to get it to line up with the hole in the back. This meant that compared to the step-on X or the step-on, I was really battling to get my foot in. There were several occasions that I thought I was clipped in, went to move away, and my foot snapped out of the binding, leaving me looking like a bit of a fool. The next issue I had was with the Flex. So this is supposed to sit somewhere between the original step-on and the step-on X. I found it erred more towards the original step-on in that it's very much middle of the road, but I found this sort of unnerving response that you got from the high back where it feels a little bit like you're unclipped, or that the high back is flexing more than you would otherwise expect. This may be because I'd had the issue where the inside had snapped clean off, but it did make me lose a bit of faith in the binding. I didn't want to push it as hard as I might otherwise, and I quickly was looking towards the step-on X. Okay, I will leave the poor binding alone now. I'll put it firmly back in its box where it belongs. And I should probably point out that this isn't a personal attack on Burton. In fact, I've owned tons of their gear over the years. The Burton Cartel is one of the most legendary bindings of all time, and the Burton fish is unbelievable, particularly in Japan. However, that doesn't mean that the company is too big to be called out when a product doesn't meet their high standards, and that's all that I'm doing here today. If you have ordered this binding or for some reason already own it, then don't worry too much. If you're enjoying riding it, if you haven't had these issues, then just enjoy the binding. But let me know in the comments below because I'm interested to hear if other people have found the same. If by a stroke of luck you haven't already ordered these bindings, then here are the 3 options I would suggest instead. If you're planning on sticking with the fast entry or step-in systems, then number 1 is the Nidecker Supermatic. Sure, it's a little bit heavier than these bindings, but it has the benefit that you don't have to buy proprietary boots. You can use whatever boots you already own, so you're gonna save a ton of cash. I actually reviewed them somewhere around here, so check that video out if you've got the time. Number 2, if you wanna stay with the Burton ecosystem, go with the Step-On X. Now, these are the more responsive version of the original Step-On, but if you're an intermediate or above rider, you're just gonna appreciate that extra response, and they do feel more secure than the original Step-On. If, however, you have no interest in the Step-On or quick entry type bindings, which would make me question why you're watching this video, but you're welcome here anyway, then I would suggest going for the Rome Katana. Now, these are a nice, light, responsive, and high performance binding that I think make the perfect binding, the perfect match between comfort, response, price, etc. Make sure to like this video if you found it in any way helpful, and subscribe for the extra cherry on top. See you in the next one.